BJP released its party manifesto called Sankalp Patra in the morning, with Prime Minister leading the event and making his address where he has narrated how the Sankalp Patra contributes to the Modi government's governance, part of which was, of course, foreign policy. And to discuss that, we are joined in by India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar. He's live with us, in fact. And very good afternoon to you, sir. And the first thing I would want to ask from the manifesto as relevant to your ministry is the mention of the word Vishwa Bandhu in the document. Now, we have been hearing about India as a Vishwa Mitra in the backdrop of the pandemic. Now it says Vishwa Bandhu. Is this just a change of semantics, or there is more thought that has gone into this choice of words, sir? Because Mitra is friend, Bandhu is brother. Does it make it as India becoming intense in its engagements with the rest of the world?
Well, I think it's a very good question, but before I do that, through you and your channel, let me convey my good wishes to everybody in India who's marking the new year in different parts of India. So, the difference between Bandhu and Mitra. Look, what happened during COVID and what happened after COVID during Ukraine, in all these operations, in the difficulties which different countries went through, they found India standing by them. They found India standing by them when other countries with more resources did not stand by them. So what has happened is it has today generated a feeling for us in the world. And this feeling is particularly intense in the global south, but not restricted to the global south. So I think more countries today feel closer to us. We are more trusted. We are trusted emotionally. We are trusted even in technology. We are trusted economically, politically. So I think there was a good reason why we kind of shifted gear in a sense and moved it to Vishwa Bandhu.
Right. So also the manifesto talks about through the Ministry of External Affairs, obviously India setting up Thiruvalluvar centers around the world, obviously. So the objective is that the world's most ancient language gets some visibility around the world. Also, the manifesto talks about India certifying yoga teachers in some ways, or starting some kind of certification. So in a sense, ownership of India's heritage and legacy. Taken together, the Vishwa Bandhu idea in more intense engagement, you know, things like Thiruvalluvar centers, how is it going to be done in terms of over the next 5 years, Ministry of External Affairs getting more muscle, more strength? Are we going to see more missions being set up, the strength of the diplomatic corps being increased, and India becoming more visible around the world through that?
Short answer is yes, all of that. I think the longer answer would be, if you take the Thiruvalluvar centers, you know, he's regarded as an epitome of wisdom, of sagacity, of knowledge. PM actually spoke at the BJP headquarters specifically also about promoting classical languages, and he mentioned specifically Tamil as the oldest of the languages in the country, how we should do more to promote languages across the world. Definitely when it comes to yoga and it comes to Ayurveda, it's important that we as the country of origin, today we are able to actually authenticate, validate and promote these practices, because these practices are catching on. And in fact, by the way, the manifesto also refers to how we would promote the legacy of Sri Ram, and how we would actually do programs to propagate Ramayana in different parts of the world. So I think it's a holistic cultural vision, because look, at the end of the day, we are a civilizational power. People respect us because we are different. We represent thousands of years of history. So we today, you know, from a time when people in power were either in denial or distancing themselves from our roots, from our civilization, from our faiths, from our beliefs. We are proud of it. We are proud of it. We believe this is our identity. We believe that this is actually a brand of India which the world respects. And I can tell you that is exactly the change that we have seen in the last 10 years. The last 10 years, the world has respected India more because India is more Bharat.
Right, sir. And when we're talking about BJP's manifesto, we have had manifestos coming in from the opposition space, particularly the Congress party, the CPM, and they are talking some specifics about India's China policy, India's Pakistan policy. In the case of CPM, even our nuclear weapons policy, sir. While the BJP manifesto is sort of silent, does not get into specifics, so there is no attempt being made to respond to the opposition space in terms of those issues. Yesterday, for example, the Congress party has said that on China there seems to be some kind of Modi guarantee that the government would not take on the Chinese in the manner that they thought it should have. So is it a deliberate strategic silence because so that the government gets that kind of a strategic space to maneuver, or there's something more to it?
Well, first of all, you are talking of comments from a party which is responsible for the loss of 38,000 square kilometers of our territory to China, and which is responsible for the fact that POK is today under the occupation of Pakistan. So who does what? I think the record is very, very clear, and I don't even want to talk about the communist manifesto because, frankly, as a nationalist, I am acutely uncomfortable, and I'm being very polite, acutely uncomfortable with what they have put forward. I cannot imagine any nationalist Indian would say these things. But put that aside. What I am saying, we are saying today, we are today talking about zero tolerance on terrorism. Now, what does zero tolerance of terrorism mean? It means Pakistan, right? But the Congress party doesn't think so, because the Congress party thinks Pakistan and terrorism nothing to do with each other. We are today talking about theaterization. We are today talking about building border infrastructure. Why are we talking border infrastructure? Because border infrastructure primarily relates to China. But the Congress party doesn't think it relates to China because they did nothing on the border. So, my friend, we have everything to do with Pakistan, everything to do with China, and we have beyond. But we are not this very superficial posing by scoring debating points, which are, by the way, completely at odds with their own record of governance. So, if you look today at maritime, at cyber, at making India a space power, all these things are there in our manifesto. We are thinking big. We will implement big. We will implement seriously. So, I think we have an ambition today of making India into a leading power. And when we announced that, the opposition said that we are fantasizing. So look, bottom line, our manifesto is serious. What you see is what you get. Yeah, sure.
It is cheap.
Sure.
My last question, sir, before I let you go. And you have spoken with a lot of clarity on some aspects which people would have thought was silent in the manifesto. My last question to you, sir, when you say India is Vish bandhu, how do we, for example, approach the ongoing crisis in Middle East from that vantage, where we can perhaps counsel both the sides, that statement actually, that position actually getting reflected in the statement of MEA today, but how can we actually make it sure that escalation does not happen?
Well, look, when we took a position on the Ukraine conflict, a lot of people questioned it. Today, those very same countries, many of them, are coming around to the recognition that what we were advocating was actually very wise. Right now, I can tell you there are 200 countries in the world, and many of them, probably all of them in some form or the other, would be affected, directly affected, if this crisis, if the violence in the Middle East, in in the Gulf, in West Asia gets worse. We speak for a majority of countries in the world who say, look, calm it down, don't escalate matters, because, what happened yesterday night was an escalatory development. So we today believe that there should be calming down of this, that, a lot of us actually must come together to see how there is a better way of dealing with it than by recourse to violence.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for that perspective and clarity with which you have spoken on the manifesto and, of course, the ongoing situation in the Middle East.
Okay, bye-bye.